Oh my God. Oh my God. Micah Parsons is a Green Bay Packer. The pack is back. Nah, man, this is crazy. I've literally been working on recording and editing a video for an NFC North preview the last 2 days. And I was gonna upload it this morning, but I was like, you know what? Let me hold off until tomorrow. And thank goodness I did it, because when I got to the Packers section, I was saying stuff like this. Then there's the Green Bay Packers, who don't have as major a storyline as any of the other three teams in the division. Yeah, I gotta scrap that whole segment because they got a storyline now. This guy is on the team. What a splash, man, from the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, we talked about the Cowboys and Micah Parsons in the season preview, about how we're always talking at this time of the year about things that are going on off the field with this team rather than on it. And yeah, yet again, here we are a week before the season, and we're talking about stuff way beyond the football field with the Dallas Cowboys. I said then we weren't going to talk about anything trade related with Micah Parsons until something was actually much more likely to get set in stone. Yeah, here we are. We have something set in stone. After that debacle in March with him and Jerry Jones, they ended up never going back to the drawing board. And as a result, they never wanted to go through his agent, and Jerry Jones kind of fed into Micah Parsons' desires in that regard. They ended up talking around, and the Green Bay Packers capitalized, bringing in one of the best pass rushers in the game and signing him to the most expensive contract of any non-quarterback in NFL history. Shout out to his agent, David Mulugeta, who wins the battle with the Cowboys, one of the first people to actually do that as an agent, putting his money where his mouth is. And he gets Micah to Green Bay. It took Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks, but you know, for a guy that has been an all-pro in each of his first 4 seasons in the league, that is a fair price to pay. You're hoping that the Packers are good the next 2 years with Jordan Love as their quarterback, so those firsts are a bit later. And Kenny Clark, he's 29 years old. He's on the older side as he, starts to hit the tail end of his career. It's a hefty price to pay, man. Quite literally, given they're paying him more than any other non-quarterback in this league. Although it is just 136 million guaranteed, which is around 35 million a year. So we'll see what the actual number ends up being. But regardless, that number is worth it, because if you think about what are the Packers' weaknesses, if any, because they were already a sneakily very balanced team entering this season, one of them was their pass rush. Jeff Hafley did a great job in his first season as defensive coordinator of this team of really improving this Packers defense. They had one of the biggest jumps from 2023 to 2024, but one of the things that Jeff Hafley was not able to figure out was getting a consistent pass rush and pressure rate out of this Packers defense. Rashawn Gary was the primary piece to that, but he had a bit of a down year last year, and Lucas Van Ness, their other edge rusher and a former first-round pick, has just not lived up to that potential. So what better way to improve that pass rush than to acquire the guy that is quite literally number 1 in pressure rate ever since he's entered the league, and one of the premier pass rushers in this game. He gives Jeff Hafley so much more options to open up this playbook. Check this out. The Packers played zone defense 80% of the time, more than that actually, last season. That's 4th most in the NFL. Only the Bears, Bucks, and Colts did it more. But Micah Parsons' ability to kind of be placed anywhere on that front 7 as a queen on the chessboard makes the Packers defense have so many more options, gives them more opportunity to play man-to-man and do cooler things. The Packers defense was quietly very solid last season across the board. Their run defense was great, although losing Kenny Clark and their other DT, TJ Slayton, will damper that a little bit. But Rashawn Gary was the number 1 edge in run-stop win rate last season, and Micah Parsons is just as strong defending the run too. So not as concerned there. And then in the pass defense, you had Xavier McKinney in the secondary being a ball hawk, getting interception after interception. And while interceptions are hard to carry over year, bringing in Micah Parsons allows them to have a more consistent base of ways that they can generate those negative plays in the form of his pressures and sacks. Micah also gets more attention than any other defensive end of this league. So he's going to draw a lot of double teams, and that's going to take pressure away from Rashawn Gary as well. He's going to have more one-on-one opportunities on the outside, and that's going to allow him to be more disruptive as a player too. The only major concern might be in the back end of this defense with the corner room, which is now reshaped. Jair Alexander's gone, but he was anyways not really a part of it the last 2 years. Eric Stokes and Corey Ballantyne are also gone. In their place, they brought in Nate Hobbs from Vegas. They pair him with Keyshawn Nixon, who's more known as a kick returner, I guess, to most people, and Carrington Valentine. So maybe that's a concern. But next to this safety room, I think Jeff Hafley will be able to figure it out like he did last year. There's an added dimension now to this Packers defense and team of a whole, and that's something they really needed. And now the question is, can they find it on offense too? They drafted a first-round wide receiver for the first time in a long time, 20 plus years, in search of fulfilling that, and his name is Matthew Golden. But they need someone in that wide receiver room to do the same thing for them, whether it be Golden or if Jaden Reed can take a leap, or if any of those other 4 to 6 options can take the step up, like right here. Tucker Kraft, Romeo Dobbs, I don't know, someone. If they can find that number 1 option for Jordan Love, man, then watch out, because we saw what they have in the run game. Josh Jacobs proved he was the answer with his breakout first season where he was scoring touchdowns left and right. The O-line is probably good enough. The blind side has a question mark a little bit with between who can win between Jordan Morgan and Rasheed Walker, but the rest is fine. Aaron Banks comes in from Frisco. Elkton Jenkins moves to center. Zach Tom has been pretty solid over his career. And then it'll come down to Jordan Love, man. He was a bit more inconsistent last season, a lot of it being due to circumstances out of his control, be it injuries to himself or that supporting cast of his, and none of those perimeter weapons really stepping up into a true number 1. But we saw the flashes in 2023. And if he can exhibit that type of performance this year, now that he's healthy, and hopefully has someone in a first-round wide receiver in Matt Golden that can step up for him, well, I think the sky is truly the limit for this team now. The team is well coached with Matt LaFleur and Jeff Hafley. It was majorly unsexy up to this point of the season, just a solid team with very few holes to speak of. And now that the opportunity was there to get one of those premier playmakers that are so rare in this league, especially at edge rusher, to get it at a cost that is pretty fair and to pay up the price to do it, you gotta respect it. And if things pan out, especially offensively, if Jordan Love can find consistency in that 2023 form that he showed, the Packers are right up there as a serious contender in the NFC. When a week ago, I think a lot of people would have said that they would be more so slept on heading into the season. And oh my God, it adds another storyline to a division that is full of them. You add in the fact that they go to Jerry's World to have Micah Parsons return to Dallas in week 4. The amount of cinema the NFC North is going to produce this year, I cannot wait. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys side of this, though. Obviously, the more somber side of things here. I feel for you Cowboys fans. I don't, though. I really don't. Okay, on a serious note, though, it does suck to lose a premier guy, a homegrown guy, and this city, too, who obviously had both him and Luke at the start of the season, and out of nowhere, both of them are gone in August. Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. And when you have Jerry Jones, saying stuff like this to defend it, we did it in the best interest of our organization. We need to stop the run. Like, I get the sentiment of what he's trying to say, but when you just traded away Micah Parsons, I don't think that is the words that your organization wants to hear. He is right, though, about the Cowboys' run defense. They were bottom 10 in rushing efficiency allowed last season, and they have been for a minute now. We're also bottom 5 in run stop win rate. So yeah, to put Kenny Clark next to Odigizua on the interior, yeah, that should at least help with that part. And it does give them a solid D-tackle tandem when you look at Solomon Thomas and Mozzie Smith, as the backups. Although it does suck for Mozzie Smith, who was a young first-round pick and has now been relegated into a bench role. But I mean, man, we talked about the Dallas Cowboys not having the most complete roster. And without that 1A player in Micah Parsons, I mean, what's the pass rush here? Marshawn Nealand, Dante Fowler, Iziraku is the rookie. I mean, that is a huge hit. I mean, we just talked about the fact of how badly the Packers defense needed a difference maker. The Cowboys had one of those difference makers. That was the elevator in their defense. And now without him, who is that defensive playmaker amongst all these guys right here? Maybe it's Trayvon Diggs, maybe it's Deron Bland, but they haven't been able to stay healthy the last 2 years. And it's a lot harder to, be a difference maker in terms of the negative plays via interceptions as opposed to pressures and sacks. We talked in the season preview about how the Dallas Cowboys passing offense is the one top 10 unit ceiling that they have, and in order for them to have a chance of getting where they want to get this season, well, they really need that passing offense to get there now, because the rest of the team is already not as complete as many of the other contenders around them in this NFC, especially even in their own division in the NFC North. And obviously losing Micah Parsons does not help with that defensively. But it's a stunner, man. It's a stunner. Obviously not as stunning as the Luka trade, because that came literally out of nowhere. But it's up there, and it sucks for the city of Dallas, what's happened in the last 6 months. What a W, though, for the Packers, man. They were already a sneaky good team that went 11-6 last season without those premier difference makers, and now they got one. They got one of those major difference makers in a division that's full of them. Speaking of which, I got to get back to that NFC North preview now.